Hi, everybody. I am Brandon Sewell. I'm the owner of Seal Pro Painting here in Central Florida. I'm also the host of the Off the Ladder podcast. And we exist to help home service business owners learn so that they can lead well and ultimately live life off of the ladder. I'm excited about today's guest brought to you by CallRail. Trey Clark is an account manager with CallRail. He's been there for about 3 years, and he has 7 years of experience in tech sales. Today, I'm going to talk to Trey about CallRail and the different features that they have to offer to home service business owners. So we'll jump into this. Welcome to the show, Trey.
Hey, Brandon. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it. And excited to share CallRail.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you could, just really quick for the listeners, tell them a little bit about yourself, maybe, a little bit personal, like where you're from, how long you've been with CallRail, maybe something you like to do outside of work or enjoy outside of tech sales.
Yeah. My name is Trey Clark, as I said before. I've been at CallRail for about 4 years now, and then working in the SaaS industry for 7 years. Things that I like to do outside of work. I have a 1-year-old, so I just kind of taking him and showcasing new things in life. Recently went to the zoo. He's obsessed with the zoo, and also the aquarium. So those have been things of late.
Nice. Well, that's a fun age when you're at one. I've got 2 kids. One is 4, and then I've also got a 8-month-old. So it's fun. But yeah, our 4-year-old he absolutely loves the zoo. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we took him for the first time over the weekend, and it was pretty fun to watch him just be amazed by the animals and interacting with them too. So
yeah, where did you say you're located again? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm located in Atlanta, Georgia. That's where CallRail's located as well.
Yeah.
With some family in Florida.
So the Atlanta Zoo. What part of Florida?
Fort Lauderdale area.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. That's a little bit further south.
Yeah. Did you happen to go to UCF or anything?
No. I actually I started college at Florida Tech, but I dropped out.
Okay.
So college dropout to business owners. So
there you go.
Nice. Yes. Yeah, but I grew up in Merritt Island, Florida, and and now we live in Titusville, so right around Kennedy Space Center, if you're familiar with the area.
Yeah, well, yeah, yep. I know of the Space Center. So
yeah, good stuff. Awesome. Well, hey, we're gonna jump into this demo. So for those of you who are listening, if you're listening on like one of the audio podcast, Apple, Spotify, you'll probably get a good understanding of maybe what we're talking about. But if you're wanting to see the demo live, Trey is going to be sharing his screen. So you'll be able to jump over to YouTube and watch the podcast, the full episode on YouTube, and you'll be able to see everything that Trey is actually talking about as we go through it on screen. So anyway, Trey, if you want to go ahead and share your screen and jump into this, we'll start talking about it.
Yeah, perfect. So here at CallRail, we specialize in marketing with confidence, as we like to say. We are able to provide phone numbers for any of your marketing initiatives, and they can work tandem within your website or other integrations such as Google My Business, Google, HubSpot, and many others. We also have 3 additional products: Conversation Intelligence, Convert Assist, and Form Tracking. As you'll see here's the main dashboard for our platform. You'll be able to see all of your calls at a glance for the week, also first-time callers, any kind of integration that we're looking to lead, and then call attribution and calls by number, among many other reports. And then also with the call activity, you're able to see how many calls you've gotten in, whether it's by the day, yesterday, 30 days to a year. We also provide call transcripts, texting, and also a lot more AI capability as well. You can also track your form submissions. So if you're a business that is strictly inbound and you're receiving forms on your website versus phone calls, we can track that as well. Our call tracking is able to get very granular. We're able to provide call transcripts, call summaries, and then you can also track the customer's journey, whether it's through first touch and lead creation milestones, and then also any inbound calls or outbound calls from the past we're able to track as well. In certain use cases for the home services area, we do see that call tracking and form tracking are quite popular. And then also our ability to be able to do quality control, whether it's from a customer service standpoint or a sales standpoint through our AI, has also been highly beneficial. With that said, Brandon, is there anything that you've been using for your own personal business that maybe you'd like me to highlight most here, or that you might be find more influential for your clients or your listeners? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about what we use it for, but I'm also interested in going into like things that features that maybe we don't use as much, and maybe exploring things that like maybe potential that we're missing out on, right? I think that the best way to use software is to maximize everything that it has to offer, and so that's how you get the best value out of it, right? So. But in short, what we're using it for right now is really just for trying to make smarter marketing decisions. So obviously, what we're doing is we're any type of marketing campaign that we can think of. We're assigning those different phone numbers to every marketing campaign, and what that gives us the ability to do is kind of see like, okay, where are we spending money, and is it the best use of our money? Is it providing a great return on investment, or are we dumping a bunch of money into something that isn't actually working? And so with the call tracking numbers and being able to look at the reports and look at the call attribution by source, we're able to see like, okay, this is where most of our calls are coming from. So let's double down on this. Or like if we're spending money somewhere, let's take money out of, things that aren't working, if that makes sense. And then as you can see, like on the attribution by source here, you have sales rep Blake Conrad. So what I'm even doing with my sales rep is I'm kind of incentivizing him, where I've assigned him a unique number where I can get him to go out and become not just a sales rep, but a marketing rep, really, where he's going out and he's incentivized and gets a bonus based on any leads that he's generating that are coming through his call tracking number, if that makes sense. So business cards, flyers, door hangers, whatever type of print marketing I give him, he's able to track. That's how we'll track that, right? So he can get incentivized to bring in more leads. Now he's a newer employee, a newer hire, so I haven't had a sales rep besides myself in a while, but this is going to be a strategy that we use with our sales reps. And then, it's just, it's for me, it's all about trying to make better, more informed decisions. I do have an admin who answers the phones, but she's part-time. She's only working 1 day a week as of right now, answering the phones and doing administrative tasks. I used to have a full-time admin. I'm just kind of not there right now needing that. But eventually we'll have a full-time admin again. And what she'll do is, we'll use like features like the, actually, I'm not sure what you call the feature, but where, it's recording the phone call, so that we can do training on like how to, maybe if we have our conversion rate is down on like leads that are coming in, we can better vet those calls and make sure that we're not missing opportunities, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. A lot of home service companies like yourself is exactly how you're using it as well, whether it's a virtual assistant or having an office admin taking calls and be able to attribute that information has been very key for a lot of those companies. And this is just with the call tracking as well. Diving in deeper, to seeing whether or not the calls are being handled correctly through automation, through artificial intelligence as well. Is also something that we really specialize in. But one thing I did want to focus on that you said was proving the return on investment that you all put in your marketing. We do also provide information on cost per lead through our cost per lead report. I'm not going to click on that because that might be like sensitive information for you, which I fully understand. We also have the call attribution. You can also see, any of the lead attribution. We also have reporting for self-reported attribution. So we definitely do try to provide the most information that we can around attribution. That way you're able to really know specifically where your investment dollars are leading to profit for yourself, which is very important. With that said, as far as like conversation intelligence and Convert Assist goes with the artificial intelligence that we provide, have you been able to dive into the more specifics of that? I know at a higher level, there's transcripts and summaries, but there is also a lot of great functionality behind those abilities and able to get the most out of your data as well.
Yeah, so we haven't really dived too much into the Convert Assist yet. And in like conversation, I think every business is unique, right? So there's going to be, I guess, certain features that aren't necessarily the best for every business. But like, for example, one of the features would be like the follow up, the smart follow up with the Convert Assist. And we just found that, like, for us, we don't really have a use for that. And really the biggest reason for that is just because we use Jobber, and Jobber has all of the follow up already built in, right? So like we already set automatic follow-ups in Jobber. So it just wouldn't make sense for us to do the smart follow-up. Now maybe what we could do is use the smart follow-up feature to edit our template, in Jobber, the automated template that goes out to like every customer for our follow-up, and maybe using some of that AI to maybe rewrite those follow-ups, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. As far as Convert Assist goes, for that platform, we do offer the smart follow-up, like you said, which is a great feature. And it sounds like Jobber's doing the same thing, which is great to hear that companies are building very useful AI solutions, because there are a lot of AI solutions out there. It's kind of like the wild west right now, and that seems to be something that's sticking. We do also offer through our Convert Assist an action plan and also call coaching. I think those two features maybe do get overlooked. A lot of people love the smart follow-up. It makes everybody's life kind of easier, right? Instead of having to draw out a long email or just coming up with the right words to say, we allow you all, our customers, to copy and paste a generated email based off of not only the current phone call but past phone calls, and you can send it on your way. We also offer call coaching and action plans through that. Some home service businesses, they are small mom and pop shops, and the owners are sometimes the ones that are handling a lot of the calls, but there's also maybe a new employee or an employee that's been with them for a while that handles the calls as well, but they just don't have the time to go through and call coach. One of my favorite features for the Convert Assist is the call coaching, and that really quickly provides positives and negatives, or areas to improve, as we like to call them, from the phone call. Which, obviously it's a little bit of a specific use case, but like I said, I have found clients that found that really useful. And then also with the action plan, really cool feature. The AI is able to come up with a list. It's usually about 5 things, but depending on the phone call, it could be longer. 5 things that the caller and also the customer need to follow up on before they meet again. You'll see here, this, inform you to follow up with Blake, confirm the scheduled date, and then ensure the person has the agent's contact information, et cetera, et cetera. I know obviously the smart follow-up came to be the biggest thing that stood out, as even something that you're already using on the side, but you can also benefit from it.
Yeah.
As far as the action plan and the call coaching goes, you know, does that seem to work kind of hand in hand for getting that investment back for your home service clients?
Yeah, as small businesses, I think that this is extremely valuable because um, we always need to be improving on everything that we're doing, and any little tweaks and readjustments to what we're doing is going to help. And so even using the action plan and the coaching is still beneficial. And just because we don't use the smart follow up, that doesn't mean that it's not going to be a great option for somebody who's listening to this. So I do want to cover, even if we're not using it personally, I'd love to cover features that we're not, just so that people can see, what's there, what options they have.
Yeah.
Because like I said, just because it doesn't work for us, doesn't mean it's not going to be a perfect solution for one of my listeners. So, but I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, the whole purpose of CallRail is like I said, it's making better decisions. It's improving upon what you're currently doing instead of going out there and kind of operating blind. This is giving you a better overview of everything that you're doing. So, if it's whoever's receiving those inbound calls, like, okay, well, how can we get better at that? How
Yeah,
can we improve?
I'm glad you brought that up too, because the one way that I always suggest to my clients to be able to do so, to improve, to find that information that you all are looking for, and also just to stay on, I guess, track, if you will, is through our conversation intelligence. Um, there are those high level things that we're able to provide through conversation intelligence, and that's the call summaries and the call transcripts, as you can sort of see here. But the one thing that I really like, and I know at the beginning of this we kind of talked about features that maybe people don't take advantage of, or even that you yourself aren't taking advantage of. The one feature that I really like to emphasize on, it's called automation rules, and it's a very versatile feature of conversation intelligence, and it really allows the client to personalize the information that they want to hear or listen to, but also B, really able to focus on whether it's an issue or a positive on what's working. So whether or not it's calls that are coming in that maybe aren't for them. Okay, why are we getting these phone calls? And then on top of that, okay, what's really working on our phone calls? When we're getting a call about X product, what is it that they're excited about? What is it that makes them want to buy the product? And how are we selling to these customers so I can figure out how to sell to other customers like them better? How automation rules work, it's the way that I like to describe it is, instead of trying to find the needle in the haystack, it brings the needle to you. You're able to set up basically a word bank, and I kind of actually like that you don't have one set up here, because maybe we can set up one today while we're on here. Is there some kind of issue that you're facing right now, or just some kind of piece of information that you'd like to be able to extract from your calls without having to go and manually find it?
Could you give me like a specific scenario so I understand exactly what you mean? Like, for example, I don't know if you mean like if let's say somebody leaves a voicemail, um, and maybe they're like, for example, I had somebody call the other day from a city that, and this happens occasionally, like I'll get calls from cities that are like nowhere near us.
Yeah.
um I've even had people call me from other states, and I'm like, how in the world did you get my information, and why do you think we service your area? um and I don't know, maybe people Google something, and for some reason our website comes up in California for pool deck resealing and painting.
Yeah.
um and then they call us, and I'm like, yeah, we're in Florida.
Right.
um, but I don't know if that's what you mean, like being able to filter out those clients that we don't necessarily want calls from, or
Yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely
I'm
a
not sure.
use case for that. I think one way, without having to get too, I guess, specific on the issue, and like maybe just explain this at a more like a over, I guess, all encompassing way, is let's say you wanted to find out what unhappy customers are calling in, why they're mad, why they're upset. We do have this as a preset rule, and what it basically enables you to do, click on this, you can apply it to every single company that you have within CallRail, and then you can set up rule parameters. These can be applied to both the calls and the forms, as you do have our form tracking on. And then where it really gets interesting is you can put in key terms and phrases that might, show that a customer is upset or mad, and which really just can usually mean bad business, because who knows who they're telling on their end. Don't use X, Y, and Z. They're very rude. They really upset me, and I don't plan on giving them my business in the future, and I don't think you should too. Which can be a big problem for home services people. You know, you never know kind of a customer that you're going to encounter. So here you see a couple choice words. There's about 8, but you can also go in and add any of them. And some of the things that I really like about these rules is that, let's say if you do have a new client or new employee, you can customize these rules. So if you're following a script, you can add certain phrases from your script. And if they are being said, then it'll tag it. But you can also do the vice versa and lax any of these words. And that's where the customer or the employee training comes into account as well. If they're not saying, your signature catchphrase, I like to use Chick-fil-A. If they're not saying my pleasure and Chick-fil-A wants to know if they're not saying it, if that phrase doesn't show up, then they can tag it as needs training, or vice versa for this one.
So is that, sorry to interrupt, so is that, I see down in the bottom left, it says then apply an action. So is that where you that's basically what the whole purpose of this is. So for example, if I have my admin, taking a call, and let's say, the customer asked, hey, do you guys, I'm trying to think of a good example. Maybe it could be a price objection or scheduling objection that ends up happening over the phone, and maybe because of that admin's lack of training or understanding, she just disqualifies that lead instead of overcoming objections or providing value. Maybe the customer calls in and says hey, how much do you guys charge for an exterior repaint? And the admin's I don't know, we charge 10,000, and the job that they're asking about is 5,000, and then they're oh, okay, well, that's too expensive, and they hang up. Then that could show me okay, well, let me train this admin on how to handle that question better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely makes sense. And yeah, that's the thing that I like about it is there's not one
Specific
use case
way.
for this. You can anything that you can kind of come up with can pretty much be applied to the phone conversations. So if that's what you wanted to look for, let's say you I don't just the phrase I don't know. You can put the phrase I don't know in there, and you can make it so if it's spoken by your agent, by your employee, then it'll tag that phone call. It won't tag it if the customer doesn't know something. But you want to make sure that your employee knows everything when on the phone call. They're not stumped by simple questions like price. You can add that in here.
Or I'm not sure if we do that, or
Yeah. Sure. Let me
yeah, that's
check.
yeah, that's really telling. I don't know.
And then you can add a tag as needs improve or not. Sorry, needs training. We can create a tag. And then anytime that those phrases are said on the phone call, your call will automatically be tagged as needs training. And that's kind of where that, it brings the needle to you, is that you can see that call. Okay, somebody might need training on this call. Let me review it. Instead of having to go through, let's say, 100 phone calls in a day and seeing where things are at.
Yeah.
Just trying to find that information.
That's really
Maybe
cool.
I
So
got too specific with that example, but there's plenty of examples, and also even whether it's tracking what customers are saying or also tracking what your employees are saying.
now, does this track the voicemails as well? So, let's say a customer leaves a voicemail, is that going to tag that call based on a voicemail as well, or is it only if an actual person-to-person interaction takes place?
So we do track voicemails for all of our clients, and yes, it will use the automation rules in the voicemail through the call recording. So it analyzes any call recording that comes through.
Okay. Yeah, so this is really valuable too because you could really just filter like any type of phone call that you want. Like I just thought about it. I was like, I could filter out, people who call looking for a job. And if if I'm looking to, grow my team, I could go in and like filter people who have called looking for a job, um to hire.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really interesting use case too. I haven't personally come across that one, but I can definitely see how it's possible, especially, if somebody calls and you're like, hey, I'll let you know when I'm hiring next, and that's like a month or two down the road. Like, how can I go back and find that person? Maybe, you're busy on the road. I know with painting, you're using your hands for other things than answering the phone when you're working. Most of the time. I'm not gonna say all the time, but when you're on a job, sorry. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, you can able to go back and find it. I think it's a great use case, really.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing is like when we're not hiring and somebody calls in and leaves a voicemail and says they're looking for a job, it's like if I'm not hiring, I kind of just write that off. I don't. It's not like I'm gonna call them back and be like, "Hey, I got your voicemail. We're not hiring." I just don't call them back if that makes sense. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's a bad business practice, but anyway. But if I
Well,
let's
we're here to help improve the business. So if that is a bad business practice, then that's something we can definitely solve and help you
sure.
find applicants for your business in a very quick and efficient way.
Yeah, that's good. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of value that could be pulled out of this from a training standpoint. Hiring, capitalizing on opportunities that come in to hire people who are looking for jobs, and even you know reducing how many leads like maybe fall through the cracks. So you could use it in so many different ways because when you're like as the business owner, when you're answering the phone, obviously you have kind of like an all-encompassing view of where the business is at, from pricing jobs, scheduling, what we can and can't do. And sometimes leads might come in, and if my admin says something or steers them in the wrong direction, I might be losing qualified leads because the admin thinks they're not qualified leads. So that's really helpful to know. So I think it could be a really good thing to use.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like I said, this is my favorite part, I think, of our conversation intelligence platform. Very flexible in the information that can find you, and I think it's a huge differentiator for companies that use it and don't, just getting their information or getting information out of AI. I could go on about automation rules for a very long time. I know we're kind of like pressed on time.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
but
No.
yeah, the flexibility's there. You can look up any kind of information that you want. And then
Sure.
while I'm on this page too, one thing I did want to talk about, just with home service, our home service clients and the integrations. We do offer a lot of integrations. Um, Going through what people tend to be using. I know you're using Jobber, it sounds like. We are able
Yeah.
to send the information to Jobber. We also have Service Titan and House Call Pro. Those are some of our bigger, I would say, home service um, integrations, but there's plenty of them on here. And if there is something that you don't see that we use, we do use or work with Zapier really well. They have over 1,000 different integrations that they've been able to build. Um, and a lot of our clients have been able to take advantage of that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Um, as you can see, like one of the most successful things for us is our GMB, our Google My Business profile. So I love being able to see like how effective that is. And so like for those of you who are listening to this, you see this, maybe you've seen the shared screen on YouTube. Um, it's evident like through our reporting that our GMB is like one of our strongest forms of marketing and inbound leads. Um, and I kind of like stress that a lot. Like we've dumped a lot of money into advertising on Facebook, our website and things like that. And our GMB is like our strongest um, thing, and we don't have to pour money into that, right? It's just getting reviews, making sure you keep your GMB updated, and that's really it. Like you want to rank higher organically for your Google My Business profile. And like I said, you do that by getting a lot of reviews. Make sure that they're real reviews from real customers, and make sure that they're consistent. Make sure that you respond to the reviews, and make sure that you are posting on your Google My Business profile, post pictures, post updates. And those are going to help your Google My Business profile rank higher. And it's a great return on investment because you're not having to spend a ton of money on like Google ads or Facebook ads, which may not convert as well. So anyway, that's just my little like advice on that. If you
Great
could,
advice.
if you could for me, Trey, could you walk the listeners through like how the CallRail dashboard works? Like, so what each one is for, if that makes sense, off to the left on the toolbar.
Oh, on the
So like,
toolbar, yeah, for sure.
the top is your analytics.
Yeah, so we have three different, or I guess we'd say four different markers here on the left, or links. At the top, you'll see My Account. This is where you can set up any kind of email notifications, whether it's for missed calls, calls, text messages, so on and so forth. Also get monthly reports. We also have a great call sentiment, or sorry, multi-conversational insight report through our conversation intelligence, where it gives you information on all of your calls as a whole. So whether a certain percentage of the calls were positive, happy, or neutral, and that's through our premium conversation intelligence. So there's a lot of great information that you're able to set up through there. You can see all the different notifications, quick response for forms. If somebody fills out a form, it'll automatically connect them with a phone call to your agent, which is really helpful. And then any integration alerts or scheduled reports can be set up there. Also, any of your account information can be found within there, and so on and so forth. And then we also have the analytics tab. This is where all of your call information will come in. I already took you through the dashboard before. We can see all the activity reports here as well. So for form submissions, text conversations, voicemails, you can even search your transcripts. And then for the reports, people can make customized reports, but we do like to provide everybody with pre-made reports. So this is where those attribution reports live. You have calls by number, calls by companies if you have multiple companies. And then you can get into the behavior type reports, as we like to call them. And that's where you can see call highlights, key terms spotted, and so on and so forth. And then to the left, we have our messaging platform as well. If you're looking to text your customers, which we find is very common with home service clients, keep having that texting relationship, whether you're texting pictures of the jobs that you're working on or just letting them know that somebody's going to be out there for their appointment. And then here, just kind of quick tabs for creating, whether it's users, phone numbers, forms, reports, automation tags, and then also the account alerts that lets you know if there's anything going on with your account that you should be made aware of.
Awesome. So let me ask you this, Trey. Like looking at me as you're looking at my account. What things would you recommend? Like maybe there's things we're not using. Maybe there's things we could be doing to like make better use of CallRail. If you were to give some feedback, what would you say? Obviously, I think I took away like how we could use the rules, the automation rules, right? So
Yeah.
setting those up. What other type of things? Obviously, we're looking at our marketing and where we're spending money, those things like where calls are coming from. We'll use like listening to the voicemails and things like that. Sometimes you can do the coaching, the action plan, and smart follow up through the Convert Assist. And as I said, like we probably wouldn't use smart follow up, but we can use the other two. What else is there maybe that we're not utilizing that you would suggest using?
So there's a lot of great stuff going on within your CallRail account, and just looking at the information that's coming through. We have the lead attribution set up. We are looking at cost per lead, so on and so forth. The biggest thing, obviously, is like the automation rules. But I think an overarching thing that I see in the account as well is just taking a lot more advantage of the information that you have within your phone calls, and just really using that, because I mean that's key, right? That's interacting with your clients. That's, boots on the ground, so to speak. In some cases, where they're giving you a call back and they're providing that feedback, whether it's based off their interest or based off the jobs that you had previously. Um, so just really just getting the most out of the calls that you can. I noticed that right now we're on the base level of conversation intelligence. There's a whole nother level to conversation intelligence that isn't being utilized right now, and that would give you information such as the call summary. So it's going to save you time when you're going through your calls and being able to, either review more calls or spend more time with your clients. There's also call sentiments that are involved in premium conversation intelligence. So you quickly at a glance, you can see if that call was very positive or very negative. And if you are having a lot of negative calls, let's find out why. Let's go through those call summaries and improve on any of the negative calls that might be coming through. Or if there's also extremely positive calls, what happened there? Why were they so happy? How can we keep our customers happy? Where in the process did we make a big enough difference that they called us so excited to talk to us, and possibly leaving us a good review, which could factor into Google My Business and raising the awareness there. So with that said, yeah, I think overarching, maybe just getting the most out of what your calls have to offer and the data that you can grab from there to improve your business is what I would maybe say.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think there's a lot that can be pulled out of CallRail, and I'll be honest. Like, I think the larger your organization is, probably the more um, demand that is going to be placed on CallRail to help with managing everything, right? So I think as like, where the reason why I wanted to implement CallRail is because I just have this foundational understanding that, like, if you don't have the proper systems in place, then when growth comes, you're not going to be able to handle it. So we're in growth mode, right? We're like trying to grow this thing and push the needle forward. So as we do that, obviously we need to have the right tools and right systems in place. Otherwise, we could just get absolutely overwhelmed and not be able to handle the growth. So I think as we grow, these things are going to be even more important, right? Like, as I take my admin
Yeah.
from part time to full time, there's going to be more of a demand for that training on calls, because now I'm taking myself out of that even more. And there's more on the line there. As we grow our sales team, obviously there's going to be more money that's dumped into marketing. We're going to be spending more money on marketing. So there's going to be more at stake. So it's going to be even more important to look at that data. So all that to say is, like, no matter where you are as a business, whether you're a smaller business than we are, or a very large business, I think that CallRail is a good fit. And you can probably, as we close, maybe you can speak on this, is if somebody was interested in CallRail, can you just talk really quick about, like, how the pricing works, different features and how those are paid for? Maybe if, somebody's looking at my account and they're like, wow, I don't need all that, but I just want this. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Can they kind of tailor it to their business? So let's just kind of close it out, and talk to the listeners about how they can, sign up for CallRail and what's going to be the best fit for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so the great thing about our pricing and how we're kind of structured as a company and billing wise is that it is somewhat, I'm not gonna say somewhat, it is a la carte. Call tracking is the bread and butter of CallRail, so every account does have that on their platform, and we have plenty of different plans depending on how big your business is, how much the call volume is, and so on and so forth. And those start around $50 a month. And then with the conversation intelligence, which is like the automation rules and the call summaries and call transcripts, that starts at $50 a month as well. It goes all the way up to $95 a month for like the higher tier plan. And then Convert Assist, there's some flexibility there. And form tracking starts at $50 a month as well. And when I say the flexibility for the Convert Assist, we have two different plans there, $35 and $50 a month. So everything is around $50 a month. One really nice thing that we do offer for any products, whether it's your first time starting off with us or also you're 5 years in and you want to add something else, we do offer 2-week free trials on everything. So if some of this does sound interesting, you know, we offer you the ability to trial these out. Make sure that you're getting that return on investment that you hope to see, and then earning your business that way as well.
Awesome. I appreciate your time, Trey. I'll also say as we close this up, obviously this is a paid sponsorship by CallRail, so I am incentivized to have people sign up. So I do appreciate if you've gotten valuable information from this podcast episode and you are interested in implementing CallRail into your business. I would greatly appreciate it if down in the show notes you would just click on our affiliate link to sign up for the free trial, as Trey had mentioned. I do get credit for that. And obviously anything that comes in through my affiliates and my partners goes into making our podcast better and bringing greater value to the listeners. So again, I do appreciate that. And Trey, again, I appreciate your time and jumping on here to go through the demo and what CallRail has to offer, and even the feedback that you provided me so that we can kind of double down on those features that maybe we're not fully utilizing and make our business better. So again, thank you so much for your time. And for the listeners, as always, thank you so much for listening to the Off the Ladder podcast. If you are watching on YouTube, please like the video, comment down below, share your feedback, share it with somebody, and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe, but also rate and review the show so that we can reach more people with this podcast and help more people with their home service businesses. And thank you again, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of the Off the Ladder podcast.